Okay, I'm in the mood for some tactics. Let's play some hard Lichess puzzles. So I'm logged in and I'm going to get some puzzles geared at my rating, which is currently 2453. All right, so black just played e6. Materials equal. In fact, nothing's been traded. We're still in the opening here. Four moves in fact, just out of curiosity. d4, d5. Bishop g5, knight f6. That's a standard opening. Knight c3. Bishop f5. f3, strange move. e6. So already there's a tactic apparently. Okay. Well, the knight's pinned. So one move that comes to mind is e4, attacking the bishop, with the intention of playing e5 to attack the pinned knight. So after e4, two possible responses. There's d takes e4 or bishop to g6. So I think bishop g6 is a mistake. e4, bishop g6, e5. When you attack that pinned knight like that, you've got your bishop pinning it, the usual resource is to play h6, bishop h4, and g5 to cut the bishop off. But you can't do that if your bishop is on g6. So that means if I play e4, bishop to g6 is a mistake. So let's look at e4, d takes e4. And f takes e4, attacks the bishop again. But this time it won't go back to g6. Otherwise we have the same, well no, maybe it goes back to g6 because if it does, I mean we'll have to look at that and bishop to g4 check. But if it goes back to g6 and then we push our pawn to e5, black can throw in this check. But let's look. Let's look at this bishop g4 first, attacking the queen. So I think that's the start of a standard tactic as well. If we play bishop takes knight, we're attacking his queen, and he's attacking our queen. And the knight was guarding the bishop on g4. So for example, if he uses his queen to take back our bishop on f6, then we get the bishop on g4 and we're up a piece. All right, and if his bishop takes our queen, then we use our bishop to take his queen, and we're still up a piece. Both bishops are hanging, but we're up a piece. So if he takes our bishop, we take his bishop. Or if his bishop takes the pawn on c2, our bishop takes the pawn on c7. So I think that looks good. e4, d takes e4, f takes e4. I think we've covered bishop to g4 check, not check, bishop g4 attacking the queen. I think we've covered that. So what about bishop back to g6? Then we play e5, and then either h6 or bishop h5. If bishop h5, we have the same tactic. The bishop takes the knight, removing the defender of the bishop. It's the same thing. And if h6 first, we can pull the bishop back to h4, and then if the bishop comes to h5 to attack our queen, we then take the knight with our bishop, and it's the same tactic. So yeah, it can be delayed, but we have the same tactic. So let's go for it. So e4, okay, we take back. So now we're going to take that knight, and he had an option of trading queens, but he doesn't, so we get the bishop, and we're up a piece. But we only get 2 points for that one. That was 1948 rated. Okay, let's try another one. All right, Queen e5. All right, so white is down 2 pawns in the position. There's a nice open diagonal to the king. There's a mate threat on h2 here. Couple possible checks. So for example, queen to c4 check. Bishop cannot intercede. Well, maybe it can on e6, but then queen takes e6 check. So that just wins a piece. So after queen to c4 check, either the rook blocks or the king goes in the corner. Let's say the king goes to h8. I want to play a smothered mate. It doesn't work. Queen to g8 check. Rook takes queen, knight to f7 mate. But no, the king takes back. Okay. So queen to c4 check, king to h8. Knight to f7 check. Forking the king and queen, so rook takes the knight. And the queen cannot take the rook because there's a mate on h2. Okay, so that doesn't work. So check, goes in the corner. Is there anything besides knight f7 check? Any further tactic? I don't see one. And knight f7 check, rook takes knight. Is there a follow-up? It doesn't seem so. What about bishop to b3 check? Still, the rook doesn't want to block in either case because of a capture on f7. So rook b3 check, and you don't want to lose a piece either again with the check. So king goes in the corner. Okay, what is there after that? Not seeing it. Ah. Just my mind wandering. I'm wondering about now queen takes g4, stops the mate, f takes g4, opening up the f file, bishop to b3 check, and if the king moves over, rook takes f8 is mate. If the bishop blocks, bishop takes bishop check. Oh, that's going to stop it because then the king can go over and there's a rook guarding the other rook. Oh, I thought I had it. Oh, well, let's invert the moves. Bishop b3 check, king to h8, and then queen takes knight. And the pawn cannot take back because rook takes rook as mate. So that just wins a knight. I mean, at the least, there's no follow-up, so let's just win that knight. So bishop b3 check. Okay, well, he's going to give up that bishop. Do we take it? Oh, I didn't consider that. So again, another failed tactic because that does protect the rook against this. But we just get a bishop then, don't we? It's okay. We just get a bishop, and now we cannot play queen takes knight because the rook is guarded. So do we stop the mate on h2 now? We have to worry about our knight getting kicked followed by queen takes bishop. So in what way do we stop the mate? All right, so starting over with a new puzzle here in the middle of this puzzle. Okay, I want to stop the mate, but I don't want to face h6 and lose my bishop back. I'm up a piece in this position. For example, g3, h6. Well, maybe that's okay because there's knight to f7 check, forking the king and queen, and then rook takes knight, bishop takes rook. And we're up material. We're up a rook. So maybe it's just g3. Is there any other sensible way to stop the mate? I don't see any other way to stop the mate. I was thinking about that for a split second, but the queen is covered. So I think that's the only way to stop the mate. And I'm not worried about h6 now, so we'll do that. Okay, so that, wow, that was a 25-19 rated puzzle. That was not very difficult. Let's review what we just did. This is bishop b3 check. Bishop blocks, take the bishop, stop the mate. That wasn't that hard. Okay, we'll play one more. So rook just took a knight. Messy position, I can tell already. So white is down a few pawns. Okay, so what's going on? Got no pawn cover for my king anymore. There's the mate threat on h2 again, and second puzzle in a row with that mate threat. It's probably all kinds of threats here. But let's concentrate on threatening him. So there's stuff hanging, like the knight is hanging. There's an exchange hanging. Another exchange hanging. Well, this is not hanging because there's mate. It's mate. I can't take that rook. We can take the knight. There's no, what's this move? Queen h4 check. Knight h3. Rook takes knight check. And then if the bishop takes the rook, then the queen takes the bishop. Very messy. Messy puzzle. Not seeing an attack on the king. I have to be fast about it. There's no checks. So I do have to guard against the mate. Actually, I can take that rook. I was deciding on taking the rook with the rook or the bishop. Those lose to mate, but there is knight takes rook. That guards the mate. Maybe that's the most sensible capture. So maybe this is a puzzle about what to capture. There's so many things on pre's. There's this capture, this one that's 3, that's 4, that's 5 captures. Not to mention silly captures, 6, 7. Okay, so which of the 7 captures do we make? So I like knight takes f3, guarding against the mate. What's the follow-up? I mean, this diagonal can open, but my bishop is protecting it quite well. My rook is protecting my knight as well after knight takes f3. There's a check that's covered. Yeah, I do have to worry about my bishop hanging as well. So rook takes knight, pawn takes bishop, but then queen takes bishop. I think this looks safe. All right, I'm feeling a little lazy today. I don't want to waste everybody's time. Let's take the rook. Okay, and he took my bishop. Do I have time to take that bishop? Or do I take this knight? Better yet. So which minor piece do I take now? Again, the dilemma is what to take. Okay. Well, can the queen and knight do any damage by themselves? There's no mate here. My knight can't be driven away. There's that check, though. If I take the bishop, there's knight f2 check. So queen takes bishop, knight f2 check, king g1. Knight takes h3 check, my bishop is pinned. King h1, knight goes back. Looks like a perpetual unless I give up the rook for the knight, which I don't really want to do because I'm not really up material at all right now. But if I take the bishop, I am. Or if I take the knight, I am. I think I want to take the knight because I don't want knight to f2 check to come. So let's take the knight. Okay, I probably could have analyzed that a little deeper, but my instincts were correct. So 2336 rated puzzle. All right, we'll quit while we're ahead. Getting up to a new puzzle high here, never been that high. Let's see if we can keep it going. Thanks for watching.